All right, Coach, we are live. Are you ready to kick this thing off?
Absolutely.
Man, let's do it.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching.
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV. Is that right?
My man, what it do, KTTV? This is KT, and I'm coming at you live with another episode of the Daily K Podcast. And on today's episode, I have the transformational success coach, Mrs. Olivia Cook. How you doing tonight, Coach Cook?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for having me on today. It's really an honor.
Look, it is my pleasure. Like I say, it's coming down to the end of the week. People are still busy. So I thank you for coming on, taking a few minutes out the busy schedule to show us some love and teach us something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. So before we jump into things, I always like to take time out because, it's been crazy and kind of do that wellness check. So how are you? And how have you been doing since this pandemic?
I am so blessed and highly favored. I'm not even going to lie. The winter time is always really hard for me because I hate the cold. The pandemic, being away from family, that kind of sucked. But overall, like I've come out of that season.
Yeah.
And I'm in such a good place. Not even the things in the news can distort my happiness.
And if you watch it, what they say, you got to watch what you eat, or what you say, watch your diet, and not just not what you eat. So like as I look at the news, we have those conversations at work, and people will kind of let them, let it take you. So I commend you for that, of kind of just, hey, watching that thing. So tonight is all about self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
What we could be doing to ourselves that adversely affects us as business owners. So behaviors, from what I was doing when I researched, and I'll just give the definition. Self-sabotaging is when it creates problems in your daily life and it interferes with your long-standing goals. Do you agree with that, or do you have anything to add on to that definition as we set the tone for tonight?
I absolutely believe in that. I want to just also add that it is the habits that we have. We tend to call these habits addictions, but that's some stigma to it. So these habits that don't serve us, that we do on a daily basis that we don't even realize, that is one of the biggest things people do to self-sabotage themselves.
And as we talk about that, I like for people to understand, because these days it's all about that connection, about that empathy. And so as we jump into that for tonight, can you give us a little bit of background about you and your work, even in this coaching arena with self-sabotage?
Absolutely. So I am a transformational success coach. I help female entrepreneurs and content creators organize their lives, be more productive, and get their mindsets right, and use their menstrual cycles to their benefits. I help them increase their income, decrease their stress levels, and finally enjoy this success journey. We're constantly on this rat race. I try to get people off the rat race and really into the sense that they get to create the life that they want. And they need to really identify what they like on the simplest levels and then really create it. Understand that they need to be strong enough to handle what life comes and throws them, because it's not going to ever be easier. You just have to get better. So we really test that resiliency muscle and we push through. We have some deep, dark conversations because I am that person to do that. But we have amazing breakthroughs.
Man, you touched it when you say we test the resiliency muscle. Because that framework says, that mindset, when a muscle, the more you work it, the stronger it gets, the better it gets, right? So just awesome, and even just the paradigm shift it takes to even be in that mindset. Now, this is my Achilles, so I am looking forward to what you say about this. As I go through the website, one way of sabotaging is overworking. My God. how is this self-sabotaging? And when you're working with your clients, how do you get them to understand that what that behavior does to them?
I did a podcast with someone, and it proposed this one question that made me ask an even deeper question. And it really is, what is enough? Because a lot of times the people that I work with, they can never get enough done. So let's identify, okay, well, what is enough work? And also, like, that overworking tends to be an avoidance mechanism to not deal with the current problem moment. So that's also another addiction that people have, is an avoidance addiction. So we see, like, okay, well, I could be spending time with my family. And we also ask what the why is. Why did you start doing this? Is it not that somebody else could do this for you? Do you have to be the one doing this? Will it still be there for you? It will. It will.
Look, could be a little bit of voice on that, huh? Just overworking yourself, and like you said, wow. I agree with you, but the thing is, I don't know, Coach. These days, we think the more I work, you got that 25/8. I remember doing a clip on that, where it said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna work 25/8." But the lady said, "Well, if Jesus took a day off, what makes you so special?" But like you say, it'll still be there. So then, how do you begin to make that mindset shift? Like, at least one action you would tell someone to put into play to begin to pull back from overworking.
I'm going to propose this to you. What it takes to get there is what it takes to maintain it. Do you want to be doing what you're doing all the time to maintain that level of where you're getting?
No.
Okay, then. So then something has to change.
Yes.
Something has to shift, because it's so important to start living the life you want to in the moment. Doing the things that you want to do in the moment. What do you do it all for? We weren't just born to work. Okay.
Hey.
If we have a gift and we're giving, and we can't give from an empty cup. And the people that I genuinely work with are women that are always giving and doing for other people. I am active in my community. I'm active in my church. I volunteer with an overnight warming center at least once a week. I'm constantly, like, just going out and helping people, providing my services for free, even just to be a light in this dark time. But that's because I love to do it, and it fills my cup. But I also make sure to take time for me.
Yeah.
We have to have limits. We have to have boundaries. We are not machines. We are human.
Mm-hmm. And the killing part, you think about with new entrepreneurs, is a lot of that time, really, because it's not used in a smart, like, intentional way, it's not really getting them a lot of places, So, like, you spend it like 8 hours, and you can wrap it up in 2, go enjoy life. And so, I honestly didn't understand that at the beginning. Like, I would work, and I gave up like a year of my life. So do you still deal with people who, like, take like hours and hours? And how do you say, look, man, you can do that in 2, and do they really buy into it? Like, how do you get the buy-in from it?
All the time. And you know what? It's not an overnight shift. It's something that, but it is something that it's like you really, really asking the right questions for them specifically. Because each person's unique. And I work on a one-on-one basis with, okay, how do you really want your life to look like? Let's set it up the way that can help get you to where you want to go. Like, what's that next level, like, 3-month situation looking like? What's that 6-month situation? How do you need to change your schedule? Maybe you're working a 9-to-5, or you have a part-time job, and you got your business that you're focusing on growing. I help you or manage the time and put your goals into your life, and also put you into your life.
Yeah, and that was my next question, was about that time management, because in understanding that, you really look at the central parts of what will keep that business going. But then I think about my friend who has is a pickle business, right? But he ships all over the country, all over the world. And so as he brought on a coach for himself, one of those first pieces was, how do you take yourself out of picking up and delivering on consignment every week? Or how do you find a driver that goes to Louisiana for you? So set those systems up. And then now let's come back and you be the creative.
And sometimes it's for people need to hear, like, they need to be able to trust themselves enough to make the right decision. They also need to read the book E-Myth, or maybe they need to read a different book that can help them on their entrepreneurial journey, because they're so used to doing all the things and then shifting into not having to, and letting go, releasing. So many people they have a stability and it's not a control factor that they need to have this control. It's not control. It's what control, the idea that control gives them. And getting deeper and on that subject of, okay, what is it that you doing this is better than somebody else? Are you the only person that can do this ever? Are there other people that do this? Like website stuff or anything like that in your business that you have that somebody else could do, might be even better at, might be specialized in. Why are you spending your time on that? Is that where your zone of genius is?
I hear you, Coach. Thank you. So now another part of that self-sabotaging is not facing a problem head on, right? And so I think about my experience. I just launched a new funnel a few weeks ago, and so I had it going, but then I realized that I didn't target the audience that I really wanted to. So I took it down, kind of reworked it, but I was still getting leads, so I could have just left it going, just like, and been happy with that. But I decided not to put myself out there in that boat. So I pulled it back. Do you come in and help people with those type of adjustments in their building? And like, for instance, in my situation, I only waited probably about a month, maybe, before I realized and I analyzed, though, did I wait too late? Do you come in and help people sooner than that?
It really depends on how much money you want to invest in learning your lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much time do you want to invest in that? I would really ask that question. If you know something, I get my clients to really trust their intuition too. And if those weren't really your clients, okay, so what? I would just ask you a bunch of questions.
Yeah. Come on.
And then at the end of the day, it would be your choice if you chose to do it. Or I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. I would just help them get to their final destination quicker.
Man, that's it. Now the mind starts the process to any success or failure. Like, so those negative thoughts become the negative actions and the habits. The negative internal dialogue is the pattern of self-limiting those thoughts. So is there a part of your program that really intentionally weeds out that mental place? And if so, and that's where you start, what does that process look like?
Absolutely. So really what I do with my clients is I look at their schedule, I find out how they're spending their time, and then we work on their time. And when we do our meetings, we talk about what comes up in their life, because these things happen over time. It's our subconscious mind wanting to keep us safe. So that's why we get the thoughts of, I can't do this. It's trying to keep us safe. So, and that's why you have so much dark nights of the soul and deep situations when you're constantly going through change and you're pushing, because change is so uncomfortable and you've got to face things you haven't faced before. So there's such a deep rooted side to transformation, but getting through to the other side is phenomenal. It's just, I help them get through those hard parts. And that's when that self-sabotage really pops up. That's when people start drinking more. That's when people start, I'm just saying, like statistically speaking, 19.7 million people in 2017 had a substance abuse problem. Since COVID, that number has increased by 30%. And that is a habit that is not serving you. People call it an addiction. I'm going to just say that it's a habit that's not serving you. And it might cause you to be waking up later and not finishing things right. So it shows up in other things, and your time off, you spend it sleeping until 12.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Come on now. So now thinking about your experiences, give me the greatest success story to date.
Okay, so I was working with a woman out in. Okay, actually, there's two. This was a one-time thing that I did. It was a workshop that I did, and then I'll talk about a client. But the client, she was like in California, mother, business owner, and she took on another job because California's taxes are stupid right now. And she was dealing with so much anxiety. She was drinking more than she wanted to. She had gained weight. She wasn't being as active in her children's lives. When she started working with me, she lost 10 pounds. I didn't even do a weight loss thing with her. You know what I'm saying? She cut back on her drinking. She started to really, in the moment, like somebody broke into her location, and in the moment she just handled it. She was still able to be grateful that, oh, this happened so quick, and I was able to turn around and I didn't lose my mind. Being able to hold your composure, because it isn't who you are on your best days, it's who you are on your test days that really tells who you are and how much growth you have. So that was a really big win for me. And now another one was this one-time statement that I had said to someone, because January is usually a hard month for her because she's had like a few family members die in her life. And I mean, my dad died when I was 20 and I had to pay for his funeral. Almost any life event that people deal with, I've almost already dealt with it, except for like childbirth and a serious like physical attack. I'll say Americans. I've dealt with many American problems because we're very blessed to be in this country. But I was like, have you ever considered celebrating their lives? And she told me this month, she's like, you know what? I only had one sad day in January. And I'm like, you know what? To be able, for that question, to be able to change how she even looked at a whole month, that is 30 days back in her life. From a statement like that, really, like that to me was definitely.
Yeah. Look, I agree with that. Yeah, I've been through a lot of loss, and so just thinking about that mindset and how will I go forward. I know it took me 30 days to kind of come out of that funk, but you think about that was 30 days, and it was one statement. You're right, and man, that it just started from there. Next thing I know, I started the podcast on that 31st day, and so took it from there, from the tragedy. Awesome, Coach. So why women?
Okay, so. Because I talk so much on the menstrual cycle and help them with that, that's why. Yeah. I can work with men. I have no, it's just easier marketing wise to have a specific niche. That is really what it is.
Yeah, that's cool though. Because from me dealing with women in elementary school, it's like 100 women. 100 employees, probably like 4 guys. And so just thinking about those powers can be used for bad or good. And so then I am glad to hear that you are using those that you say those menstrual powers.
Well, yeah, it's really okay. I'll go through it really quick. It's really the full 28 days and how like your hormones move throughout the month.
Yes.
And knowing when you're going to be the most attractive is really great for batch filming content and also speaking and also, just knowing that to schedule your life, that's super helpful. Yeah. And also knowing when, I might just need to give myself a little more grace. I might not be like this day. So I'm not going to overbook my schedule this day. Because I have a tendency to get pissed off a little quick. So knowing those things and really studying that and working with the science behind it, it's purely science, and it's something that I wish was actually like taught in schools, is just how the hormones work. And knowing that, especially in female entrepreneurs, they have that flexibility to do that.
They do. So I'll go through a few, I guess, list one of 3 ways to know if you are sabotaging your business, and you kind of give me some of your feedback on these. So, number one, do you have a fear of success? So, what do you think about that one? As in, if the sabotaging or not?
I think that you can definitely sabotage if you have that fear. However, why do you have that fear? We got to get deeper. I feel like that's such a surface level fear.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's a deeper reason. Like, well, what type of success? You know, you don't want to be a billionaire, but you might want to be a millionaire. What about multimillionaire? Like, okay, like where does it start to get like a little uncomfortable for you?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm. And we talked about this one. Are you doing what you think you should do rather than what you want to do? So, what do you think about that one? How does that say self-sabotage?
I think that also has to do with a lack of direction. And how do you really know like what you should be doing? And if you know you should be doing something and you're not doing it, yeah, that can definitely be self-sabotage.
Look, I'm telling you, because like I say, when I looked at that funnel, I knew it wasn't popping, right? I knew it wasn't popping up to my standards. And so then I could keep going because I could say I'm filming, I'm still a principal. So I'm doing all these pieces, or I can take that time. But a lot of people don't. And I think that's when that self-sabotaging comes in, when like what you should do rather than what you want to do. So I want to go out, but I should be taking this funnel down to make sure I get my business right. And number 3, and we talked about this one, are you overworking yourself rather than delegating and allowing your business to scale?
That is definitely self-sabotage. Because why are you doing that to yourself? You're like punishing yourself because you did not wake up dreaming to work all the days of your life. You did not, like, that is not what you really wanted to start the business for. Most people want to start business for freedom, for impact, for income, not working 24/7.
Yeah. And so now take us through the onboarding process. I see I am a new lead. How does that work from there? So like, let's say somebody see this, they reach out once they get the contact. Take us through their process or their journey.
Absolutely. So what I do is I do a complimentary strategy session. I purposely do that because I like to get to know who I'm working with. Now, I do offer workshops on a quarterly basis. I have one coming up March 6th that is called Organize Your Life. And I have a landing page up on my website for that specifically. So that one is a quick, you just click the link. It sends you the notification that, this is the meeting. It adds it to your calendar, and then you just meet me in that meeting. Yeah. It's a Calendly link, just like we had. So that one's like super simple. So I do those workshops quarterly, and that stays up to date on my social media and my website. Yeah. And then all of the other onboarding for like one-on-one clients, if you wanted to do a VIP day or anything like that, that would be through a strategy session. And then we would really just talk about the best way that we could really work together. I don't believe that a one size fits all type of situation. I really want to help my clients have the best transformation and see how I can best serve them.
Man, and just thinking about the work with women, like you say, just really finding that niche. As I talked, I told you I started it out and it was like all about education, but then it evolves and evolves. And so how long have you been doing the transformation?
I started my coaching business in 2020 and I pivoted. So at first it was like mindset and social media. Yeah. But now I've gotten more like an understanding of the things that I do the best. And it's definitely been a challenge, but one that I have embraced like crazy. I left my full-time day job in October to focus on my coaching business and my podcast. And it's been a very exciting wild ride.
Now that's courage though. So how was it leading up to it? What? Oh man. So talk to me about that decision, coach. Like, was it okay, I'm getting, because you said when is it enough? So I'm like, I'm setting up this and I'm being able to leave, or was it like, you know what? Let's go. And you just
Well,
did it.
I also had my part-time serving job. I worked fine dining.
Okay.
So like I was like, you know what? There's no way that I can do all of the things that I'm doing without letting something go. And I mean, it was a good salary.
Yeah.
But I had faith. I'm very, very led by God. I am very one of those people that it's like, you know what? God told me it's time. So I'm gonna just
Yeah. That's cool.
So it was it's nerve-wracking. Oh my goodness. I drove myself insane. Freaking out. My husband had deployed for 7 months and he comes back, and then I had like wedding festivities that I was a part of in Florida, that I was like there September, October, and November, like going back and forth. And it was a lot. It was a very interesting time. I would not suggest that people do what I did if they did not believe in themselves.
Yeah. You can't.
Yeah, you have to. Entrepreneurship, you have to absolutely believe in yourself. And there's no right way to do it. So many of us are always like looking for this path or whatever. No, like find out who you are, what you have to offer, and own it and keep going.
Keep going. Learn it on the way. Oh, what to say? OTJ. That's pretty much it. And so you said 2020, like, so that was during the thick of the pandemic and when things were happening. So man, like, did you already have plans before that, or was it just being inside with yourself and kind of on that lockdown to say, you know what, this is what I'm feeling? Because a lot of people I know, for instance, like me, I went through something, and so then I turned that into this, or was it just like, you know, I think this is time I want to get out and help others?
Okay, so I mentioned before how I evacuated from Hurricane Michael in October of 2018.
Yes.
And I came here and I was just like working. I refused to be in a bad work environment. So I literally like, I worked at so many different restaurants. I'm like, this is not for me. This is not for me. Like this, I'm spoiled, I guess, in that sense. And I found like my full-time day job too. And it took a while to like figure things out. And I got baptized in September of 2019. In October of 2019, I was in a room at the restaurant and I prayed before everybody came in. And I was like, somebody said that doesn't work. I said, well, I'm blessed and highly favored. So, you know, I'm a new Christian here, like, right? And it was a room full of entrepreneurs. Yeah. And it was 80 entrepreneurs. I was serving 10 of them, and they were there for our Taste Syndicate. I had no idea what that was. It's put on by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. Mm-hmm. And Andy Frisella lives in St. Louis. So anyway, I'm like, I go and I find out what they're there for by the youngest end of the table. Then I go to the oldest end of my table, and I'm like, I'm going to be eating with you guys one day. Yeah. And they're like, do you want to come with me tomorrow as a +1? And that opportunity lit a fire under my ass. And you know what? It was my father's birthday on that day that I went to that event. And my dad died when I was 20. And like it was, I always try to celebrate his life on his birthday and his death day. And his death day is actually tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And but I always try to celebrate his life. So it's just like, this is crazy. And this is such an amazing opportunity. And then Ed and Andy come into my job that night after the event. My job was 30 minutes away from the event. So if that wasn't a message from God, I don't know what was, but it was just like, that was a sign for me to like start focusing on myself and like start focusing on my passions. And then in November, I got like this hit, like I'm supposed to be a life coach. Like I'm supposed to coach people. I'm supposed to help people. Like this is just what I'm supposed to do. And I started like looking for business coaches and all that other stuff. And In February, I volunteered in the Bahamas to help out with Hurricane Dorian relief efforts. I came back in March and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start coaching. And then, COVID happens. I'm like, okay, so
so move that thing online.
I was like, that was the whole plan anyway. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
Man, that is it. Man, so like you say, just during that time, you had to make it happen. I know so many people who came out on the other side, just better at what they were doing. But whenever you get that chance to just sit down with yourself, you'll figure something out if you really about that life.
And since I had already experienced so much during the hurricane, we didn't have a house for 5 months.
Yeah.
So this go round of COVID, I'm like, oh, I got a house. Oh, I can be I don't have to move. Oh my, I gratitude on 100. So grateful for everything that I had. And I was really able to be of service during that time.
Man, that's it. And so, Coach, as we get ready to shut it down, to that person that is out there, self-sabotaging themselves. We talked a lot about what it looks like tonight. We talked about some of the scenarios. What is the last plea, I guess, or the last words of advice you can tell to that person to simply change the ways of their actions?
You deserve more than what you're giving yourself. You deserve to live the life that you want, being the person that you are. And you cannot afford to get distracted in this time.
Drops the mic, exit right, all of that. Look, so much good information tonight. I wanted to say thank you for taking some time to just come through and talk about just the goodness, because we do overwork ourselves and we think that it's helping. But at the end of the day, you're setting yourself up for not being able to be your 100% self on the back end because you're so tired. All right. So, so much. So give us the information on how do we find you? How do we connect with you? Get the free things on the website, all that.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at coach_live. I am, my website is oliviatmcook.com. I'm on Facebook as Olivia Cook. My Facebook business page is Olivia TM Cook. I have a podcast called The Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered. And I think, I'm on LinkedIn as well as Olivia Cook.
Well, tell us the last episode of the podcast, because when you say badass and unfiltered, what you dropping on there?
Okay, so my podcast that came out yesterday was with a woman that is an author, and I honestly believe that her book's going to be a New York Times bestseller. We talked about Don't Just Sit There, Do Nothing is her book. It's a lot about mindfulness, and her name is Jessie Kinzer. The guest I had on the week last week was Marla Bautista, and she has a nonprofit organization to end homelessness in Tampa, and she's a TEDx speaker. And she changed my heart. She's the reason I started volunteering, and really changed my heart posture when it came to homeless people, and just realized where I was so much more flawed. So that was an amazing conversation. And so it's really just about women from all over the world, just sharing different stories, having true, authentic conversations.
Nice. Well, I sure appreciate you for taking some time out again, and for the info. And I look forward to sharing and just getting this out with some of my entrepreneur friends, but also people who just need to understand, look, man, don't kill yourself. Just work harder. Smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. And don't compare yourself to others as well. That comparison trap is really big, and you're in your own lane, not anybody else's.
Man. All right, y'all. I hope y'all listen to this tonight. All right, this is KT for KTTV signing out. 100.
This is Darnell with Broadcast Houston.
This is Dr. Tamara Beckford.
Hey. Hey, this is Candace.
This is London Underwood.
This is Kirsten Bass with Inner City Greens, and you're watching
Y'all are now tuned in to
KTTV.
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 KTTV.